Alright, good evening guys, it's Jeff. Been a little while since I've made a video actually, and so for my channel, I've not really had much to talk about at the moment. I've just almost decided to do this one on the spur of the moment, hence I'm sitting outside the pub just about under cover in the pouring rain, but you know, yeah, now what am I going to do a video about tonight? What do you think? I'm going to do something I've not done before. I'm going to review a book. That's something, I've never attempted to do this before, so if this isn't great, I apologise in advance. So, what is the book I'm going to review? Now, I don't have the book with me because I didn't sort of read it as such. I listened to it as an audio book, sort of something because I work outside or whatever. That I sometimes listen to audio books or whatever. But I downloaded this one about a week ago, and it was so fascinating. I've listened to it like twice in this week now. It was so fascinating. And the name of this book is called The Unbreakable Miss Lovely by Tony Ortega. And this is the story of a journalist called, a true story, by the way, a journalist called Paulette Cooper, who was, she's not necessarily the first, but one of the very, one of the first journalists to write articles and to have a book published, which was an expose of the Church of Scientology. And I just found this quite fascinating. Now, I mean, I didn't really know much about the Church of Scientology. I'd heard a few rules. I mean, obviously I used to think Tom Cruise and John Travolta and Kirstie Alley are all into, a few celebrities are into it. And I'd always sort of heard kind of rumours that they, that I knew Anonymous went after them in a big way a few years ago, over censorship, and I do know that they don't particularly like any criticism and so on. That they don't take that well. And I'd heard kind of rumours that I'd heard stories that they kind of harassed and bullied people who either left and spoken out or were journalists and so on, perhaps not written the most flattering articles about them. However, I was listening to this and going for this, I had no idea the kind of lengths that the Church of Scientology had gone to in the past, and from what I understand may possibly still go to quite long lengths today to attack critics and so on. And the story of this woman Paulette Cooper is just amazing, really. It's kind of beggars belief, some of it. In fact, all I'll say about this book, if you read it or listen to it as an audio book, is sometimes you have to pinch yourself to remind yourself that this is a true story, because it kind of reads like a thriller novel or some kind of, like some weird outlandish kind of conspiracy novel, yet this stuff is all absolutely true and all documented and so on. Now, to give a tiny little bit of background on the author now, Tony Ortega, he's a journalist himself, and he's, for a little over 20 years now, he's been covering the Church of Scientology and writing an awful, he's been covering them for about 20 years now, and he's faced quite a bit of harassment and so on himself. I mean, he's quite well known online and so on. He's got a website that I'll try and find a link to, and I'll post that in the description to this. But he said he sort of said when he writing the book or whatever, when he first started writing about Scientology and so on, and he kind of got references to this journalist called Paulette Cooper who wrote a book about them and who was harassed and so on. and eventually Paulette Cooper kind of sent him when he started covering, sent him a couple of like encouraging emails and so on, saying, yeah, keep up what you're doing and so on. And they met and talked, and eventually they come to kind of an agreement that he would write a book about her life, pretty much. And yeah, it's just a fantastic story. I don't want to give too much away. I'll try and give a very brief outline of this. It's quite interesting. Paulette Cooper, she was actually originally from Belgium, and she never really knew her parents. I mean, her father never even laid eyes on her. And the reason being is that she was born in the early 1940s in Belgium to a Jewish family under Nazi occupation. Both her parents died in the Holocaust, and she herself, as an infant, along with her sister, was in a concentration camp. And there's a whole fantastic story about how she was sort of gotten out of there as like a 2-year-old or something like that. She was very much an infant and so on, and eventually ended up in America. Became a very ambitious young journalist. After she got to America, she was adopted and so on, and became this journalist. And at some point, after a couple of conversations with friends of hers who were involved with Scientology, she decided to sort of cover this story and started investigating the Church of Scientology. And I don't think she particularly liked what she found, and her book was called The Scandal of Scientology, which I don't think is in print anymore. And there's this kind of a story about that in this book as well. But she wrote this book, and for about almost 15 years afterwards, faced about 19 different lawsuits, all kinds of harassment, including details about her, allegations about her sex life and so on. The Church of Scientology put out, just stuff you wouldn't believe. And to really kind of top it off, I'll say a little bit about this, that she was actually indicted on kind of a terrorism charge. And what had happened is that the Church of Scientology had somehow managed to get her fingerprints, and sent a number of bomb threats to themselves, claiming it was from Paulette Cooper. And she was actually indicted and very nearly went to jail could have ended up going to jail for 15 years on terrorism sort of charges here. That's the kind of lengths they went to try and silence this woman. It's I'll say this, it's if you read this or download it as an audio book, if you do download it as an audio book, it's Tony Ortega, the author, does narrate it. I mean, I got it off of Audible. I mean, there was some places or whatever where certain the sound quality or whatever where it wasn't necessarily the greatest, but the story itself was so mesmerising. It's it's just amazing the kind of lengths that the Church of Scientology went to either discredit Paulette Cooper or get her thrown in jail. Like, I mean, she was pretty much suicidal at one point and contemplated suicide due to the harassment, but she persevered and fought through this and fought these people for years, and was eventually vindicated, because of mainly because of a raid that the FBI did on the Church of Scientology in the 1970s. It had nothing really to do with the Paulette Cooper thing, but on the fact that they were trying to get people inside the IRS, you know, because they were a bit worried they were going to get taken to task over their tax payments and so on. So yeah, so just to sort of sum up this little review I'm doing, yeah, this book, The Unbreakable Miss Lovely, is worth reading or listening to. I was just a little bit on the title is the name Miss Lovely was kind of the code name that the Church of Scientology used about Paulette Cooper, so that's kind of where the name comes from. So, but yeah, it's so fantastic. I've listened to this audiobook twice in a week now. If you've got an interest in Scientology, definitely read this. If you just want a very good true story that is so really fantastic, read this book, listen to this, whatever you do. So yeah, I highly recommend this book, The Unbreakable Miss Lovely. So okay, that's my first attempt ever at a book review. Don't know how this is going to come off, but I thought it was so good after, you know, listening to it twice in the last week, I decided I was just going to go and make a video on my phone, post it to YouTube, and I'm sat out here pretty much in the rain reviewing this, so that's how good I thought it was. So alright, see you guys later. Alright, salute.